Well, hey, Foothill Church, I wanted to send this to you today, and it's been a while since we've kind of done any update on kind of where we stand as a church and what are we going to do going forward, and can we meet in person again, and those kinds of questions that are swirling around. And man, I just didn't want to leave you hanging. I want to make sure we're feeding you information as regular as we can give it, and just kind of let you know where things stand. Here's the long and the short of it. I guess it was a few weeks back, I basically said, right now we're under these kind of county orders. Nothing has changed, really. In fact, if you're watching the news the last few weeks, it sounds like, the state governments, not only California, but Arizona, Texas, other places, are beginning to ratchet back down on some businesses that they'd allowed to open. So in some sense, I'm glad we didn't jump the gun, jump right back into services, and then realize we got to sort of rewind. We have at the same time been planning, right? We've been trying to figure out ways that we can begin gathering again, even in small ways. What I said a few weeks ago still stands. We will begin gathering, as you remember gathering, when it's legal, when it's safe, and when it's practical, right? And right now, we are still, nothing's changed as far as the numbers of people that can gather. We can gather the lesser of 25% of capacity, or 100 people. So that ends up being, we record things over at Grand Avenue, that ends up being 50 people that can gather at a time with all kinds of safety protocols in place. Face masks, social distancing, checking boxes as you come in that says, I've not contracted COVID-19, not been around anybody with COVID-19. They're saying in Los Angeles County things like, if we have multiple services back to back, then what we have to do is put disposable seat covers and then change those out and sanitize between all of that. So all of that is really the same as when we talked about things a few years ago. There can be no children's ministry. They would recommend we don't sing. Of course, we will sing if we come together, but that's being done with face masks on and all of that. So that's really where we stand. We stand at a place where if we come back together, the practicalities of coming back together limit us in all kinds of ways. So the question is then, what do we do? Like, are there things that we can do that in the meantime? And the answer is, of course, yes. And there's things we're going to try to do. So let me just give you a couple of those. Number one, you can, of course, gather as you feel comfortable with friends for like watch parties and group times and fellowship and that sort of stuff. We'd encourage you to do that, encourage you to be safe as you do that, be careful as you do that, and yet there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Number two, here's our plan. Here's what I'll say, and I'm going to try to give you a date, and I hope you understand. All of this could change tomorrow because it seems like we're dealing with a very dynamic situation. So our hope, okay, let me say it that way, is that on August 8th, that's a Saturday, we will begin inviting smaller groups of people to come and basically have church with us. Now, what we'll do is we'll record that service and then rebroadcast it on Sunday. The way we're sort of doing it right now, staff members are coming and others are, the very, very limited people are coming as we've been trying to kind of get things ready to do this. So that's been why you've seen, maybe if you've watched, people in the studio audience and that kind of thing. So we'll begin doing that, I hope, on August 8th. Inviting groups of about 50 people at a time. You'd have to sign up for that. You'd have to reserve a space for that. We'll start with our covenant partners. And then as we kind of get our feet under and understand how that works, then we can grow it from there. But we're going to start small and begin to kind of come back online. I heard it referred today as sort of a dimmer switch, not a light switch, right? We're going to slowly bring up the light as we can, all the while having an online presence and continuing to do that. Okay, so that's something we're planning on. We've been working on that. We've been working out the kinks and logistics and all that of how that works. Just know There's going to be lots of safety protocols. You're going to have to, queue up in a certain way and leave in a certain way. There will be no children's ministry. But we know that there's some people, and we would be in this group, that are dying to get back together. We so desperately want to come back and be together as a church family. And so we want to try to begin to bring that back online for those who are ready to do that with us, okay? But then we're going to try to do some other things that just get us together as a church family. One of those things, we're going to hold a prayer meeting, a Zoom call like we did a few weeks back on July 19th. So mark that on your calendars. We're going to come together, be able to pray one for another and really just call on God. I mean, for each other and pray for one another. It's been a long time since we've been able to do that, where we've been able to pray with one another, and we want to be able to accommodate that. And then look for more information in August for kind of in-person things. We might try to do like a tailgate party where we can just gather and be in our cars or in the back of our trucks or whatever and just see each other and eat food. Maybe go to a drive-in theater and watch a movie together. Anything like that we can do. Just know your church staff is working hard to see if there's a way that we can begin to gather together. It is, I'll say this, it's not for a lack of want to. It's that right now, yes, it's legal in very, very limited ways. We can make it safe, but it's the practicality of it that is really limiting our options, because the legality of it limits the practicality of it. And I hope that makes sense. We want to make sure that we can do all those things. And so when you come back, you know that you're safe with us. Okay. So that's kind of where we are. And I know, man, I'd love to be able to say, come this Sunday, the doors have been flung open, there's no issues. But we want to make sure we are a law-abiding people, right? That right now there's been no discrimination just against churches. In fact, you probably are all aware they're closing bars. This past week, they just announced over the weekend, as you're listening to this, there's no people on the beach. They can't go on bike trails in Los Angeles County and other places, all to try to limit the effect. Now, look, I'm not saying you like that or I like that, right? Or that whether you agree with it or not, that's not the issue. The issue is that's what the law says. And until the day when they say the only people we're going to discriminate is against churches, then I think the posture we take is we will obey the law. We will walk in obedience to that and pray like crazy that this thing comes to an end and we can gather again, okay? I realize that in our church we have those that are afraid to go outside, and I don't say that in any denigrating way. We have those who think this whole thing is nonsense. Let me just encourage us. And then we have a whole lot of people in the middle there that are just like, man, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. And look, God knows. And my encouragement to all of us, no matter where you find yourself on that spectrum, my encouragement to all of us is that we will just take heed, that the Bible says that we should love one another, forgive one another, forbear with one another, honor one another. I mean, Paul says, be kind and compassionate to one another. Okay, both sides of the aisle need to somehow find a place of compassion, something only the gospel can bring. Forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you. Maybe that's a word we need to hear more than we've ever heard before in this sort of cultural environment we find ourselves in, where we can have conversations because we're brothers and sisters in Christ that may even disagree about some things that are going on, okay? I love you guys. Man, I hope you hear my heart. I hope you hear the staff's heart. We are working really hard behind the scenes to do everything we can to help you stay connected to Jesus, stay connected to each other, stay connected to church, and be ministered to, and have your souls expand during this time and not shrivel up. And I know that's difficult. If it's difficult for you, know it's difficult for us in trying to deliver and help you with that. But the Lord knows. God is not caught by surprise by any of this. He knows the beginning from the end. We serve a sovereign God, and I'm grateful and I'm confident He's going to see us through this. Okay? Again, just wanted to give this to you as an update. Sorry for the length of this. Just know we're praying for you in the meantime. Love you. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk soon.